I've been married to my husband Ethan for a little over 3 years. Before that, we'd been together for 5, so all in all, it's been almost a decade of my life wrapped up with his. I met him in college. I was 20, shy and majoring in literature. He was 22, confident and studying mechanical engineering. We couldn't have been more different, but somehow it just worked. And for most of that time, my best friend Claire has been part of our story too. I met her my freshman year, the loud, fearless type who could make a room light up just by laughing. She was the kind of friend who would show up unannounced with takeout when you were crying over exams, or drag you out to dance when you hadn't left your room in days. She was bold, hilarious and loyal, or so I thought. Clara and Ethan got along well from the start. Too well sometimes. She'd tease him about his boring engineer habits, and he'd joke that she was too much energy for one person. It always felt harmless. In fact, I liked that my two favorite people could get along. There was no jealousy, no weirdness, at least not that I noticed. Fast forward to last month. Ethan and I were about to celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary. I'd planned something simple but meaningful. A private dinner at this cozy restaurant downtown where we'd had our first real date. It was sentimental, intimate and honestly exactly what I wanted. But then Clara offered to help plan something bigger. She said we deserved a proper celebration, something special. I hesitated, but she's always been the enthusiastic planner between us, so I let her take the reins. She promised to handle the reservations, decor and even invite a few close friends, just for the surprise effect. Looking back now, that was my first mistake. The night of the dinner arrived. I wore the same dress I'd worn when Ethan proposed, a soft cream-colored one with a little floral detail. Ethan looked handsome as ever, calm and steady as always. When we got to the restaurant, there were balloons, candles, a private table and a small group of our closest friends. Clara was there too, grinning ear to ear, holding a glass of champagne. Everything seemed perfect at first. We laughed, reminisced about old college stories and everyone toasted to our marriage. Then the toast started to get strange. One of our friends made a joke about how Ethan had been every girl's crush back in college, and Clara chimed in, a little too quickly, with, "Oh please tell me about it. I had the biggest crush on him back then." The table laughed. I laughed too, though it felt forced. I didn't think much of it, people joke like that. But then she kept going. She said, "I mean, who wouldn't? He was smart, charming and somehow ended up with the quietest girl in the room. I used to wonder what you had that I didn't." Everyone chuckled awkwardly. Ethan looked uncomfortable. I tried to brush it off with a nervous smile, but my stomach tightened. Something about her tone wasn't teasing anymore. Then she raised her glass again, her cheeks flushed from the wine. "You know," she said, "I'll be honest, I've always loved you both. But sometimes I wonder what could have been if things had gone a little differently." Silence. Absolute silence. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Ethan's smile disappeared completely. One of our friends muttered something like, okay. But no one knew what to say. Claire just smiled, staring right at Ethan. I tried to play it off, muttering something about her having too much to drink, but the mood had shifted completely. The air felt heavy. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned out the restaurant's soft jazz music. Dinner wrapped up awkwardly after that. Most people left early, muttering excuses about work or early mornings. Ethan and I drove home in silence. I could tell he wanted to say something, but neither of us did. When we got home, he finally turned to me and said quietly, "That was weird, right?" Weird didn't even begin to cover it. That night I barely slept. Every laugh, every shared glance between them over the years replayed in my head like a movie. I suddenly realized I hadn't been watching closely enough. The next morning I woke up to a text from Clara. It said, "Hey, sorry if I made things awkward last night. I had too much to drink. You know I love you both, right?" I stared at the message for a long time. I didn't reply. 2 days passed before she showed up at my door unannounced, like she always did, holding coffee and muffins as if nothing had happened. I didn't even invite her in, I just stood there, my arms crossed, blocking the doorway. She tried to laugh it off again. She said I was overthinking things, that she didn't mean it like that she just wanted to be honest. But the more she talked, the more it sounded like she did mean it. She said things like, "It's not like I'd ever actually do anything, and it's just weird seeing someone you used to care about married to someone else. Used to care about." I didn't know whether to scream or cry. She acted like it was some innocent confession, like she hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of my marriage. Ethan tried to comfort me later that night, saying she was probably embarrassed and didn't know how to handle it. But something about his tone, hesitant, cautious, made me wonder if there was more he wasn't telling me. That's when I decided I needed to know the truth. So I did something I'm not proud of. I went through Ethan's phone. He's always been an open book kind of person, never hid anything, but I had to know if there was any history between them. I found a few old group chats from college, some photos where they were tagged together, but nothing incriminating. Until I found one text thread from months ago. It wasn't romantic, but it wasn't entirely innocent either. She texted him about missing the old days, and jokingly called him the one that got away. He'd replied with, "Ha, you're crazy. You know I'm married to your best friend, right?" A light-hearted response, sure, but he hadn't told me about it. That small omission hit me harder than I expected. When I confronted him, he admitted he didn't tell me because he didn't want to make things weird between me and her. Too late for that. For the next few days I avoided both of them. But Clara didn't take the hint. She kept texting, calling, even showing up again just to talk. Finally, I told her I needed space. She said, "You're overreacting. You're acting like I tried to steal him." That sentence broke something in me. I told her she'd crossed a line, that she disrespected me in front of everyone, and that our friendship was over. Her face went pale then cold. He just said, "Fine. But don't come crying to me when he gets tired of perfect little you." Then she walked away. That was 2 weeks ago. The day after Clara walked away, I felt this strange mixture of relief and grief. It was like losing a limb, one that had become infected without me realizing it. The silence after her absence was deafening. No constant texts, no surprise visits, no random memes at midnight. Just quiet. But peace didn't come with that silence. My brain wouldn't stop replaying everything she said, and more than that, the way Ethan had looked that night at dinner. Not guilty exactly. More like caught between two crashing waves. I wanted to believe him when he said nothing ever happened between them. And maybe nothing did. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something unspoken had always existed under the surface. Something I'd been too trusting to notice. A few days later, Ethan suggested we go on a weekend trip. Just the two of us. We could use some time away from all this, he said. No drama. Just us. I agreed, hoping maybe some distance would help me breathe again. We drove up to a quiet cabin 2 hours away, near a lake surrounded by pine trees. It was peaceful, picturesque, and exactly what we needed. For the first day, things felt almost normal again. We cooked dinner together, played music, even laughed a bit. I almost started to believe that maybe, just maybe, we could move on from this. Until the second night. We were sitting on the couch, half watching a movie when Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, and turned it face down on the table. I didn't say anything at first. But then it buzzed again. And again. I tried to ignore it. But something inside me, that gut feeling you wish you could silence, wouldn't let me. "Who's that?" I asked. He hesitated. Just for a second, but I saw it. Then he sighed. "It's Clara." My stomach dropped. I asked him what she wanted. He said she'd been messaging him non-stop, saying she needed to apologize to him properly. That she felt bad for making things weird. I told him to block her. He said he didn't want to escalate things, that maybe hearing her out one last time would help her move on. That's when I lost it. I told him this wasn't about her feelings anymore. It was about mine. About how betrayed and humiliated I felt that he'd even entertain a conversation with her after everything she said. He got defensive. Said he hadn't done anything wrong. Said I was being unfair. We argued for hours. Not shouting, but that quiet, sharp kind of argument where every word feels like it's carving something out of you. By the time we both fell silent, I was crying and he just looked exhausted. The next morning, he'd blocked her. I checked, not because I didn't trust him but because I needed proof. He showed me his messages, unread paragraphs from her, all sent between midnight and dawn. Things like, "I didn't mean to ruin anything. You know, I never stopped caring about you. You were supposed to be mine." That last one made my blood run cold. Ethan deleted them right there in front of me. He told me again that nothing ever happened, that he only ever loved me. I wanted to believe him and part of me still did. But another part, the one that had seen the way Clara looked at him that night, whispered that there was more to the story. When we got back home, I blocked Clara on everything. Changed my locks too. It felt paranoid, but she'd crossed too many boundaries already. For a while, things were quiet again. Then, about a week later, I ran into one of our mutual friends, Rachel, someone who had also been at that anniversary dinner. We hadn't talked much since that night, so she asked how I was doing. I told her vaguely that things had been rough but were starting to calm down. That's when Rachel looked at me with this weird, hesitant expression. She said, "I don't want to stir anything up, but I think you should know something." Apparently, the night of our anniversary, after Ethan and I had left early, Clara stayed behind at the restaurant. She'd gotten really drunk and started venting to Rachel and a couple of others. She said things like, "I waited too long, and he's only with her because she was there first." Rachel told me she didn't think much of it then, she just thought Clara was drunk and bitter. But now, hearing how things unfolded, she realized how serious it was. My hands were shaking by the time she finished talking. When I told Ethan what Rachel said, he looked horrified. He swore again that he never gave Clara any reason to think he'd ever choose her. He said he'd kept things friendly all those years because she was my best friend. That's it. And deep down, I knew Ethan wasn't lying. I'd seen him turn down flirtatious comments before. He wasn't that kind of man. But what broke me most wasn't just Clara's confession. It was how much I'd lost because of it. A decade of friendship gone. A piece of my peace of mind shattered. A trust that I wasn't sure I could fully rebuild. In the weeks that followed, Ethan and I went to couples therapy, something I never thought we'd need. It helped slowly. We learned how to talk again without walking on eggshells. I learned how to let go of guilt that wasn't mine to carry. But healing wasn't linear. Every now and then I'd scroll through old photos, the three of us laughing at barbecues, at weddings, at birthdays, and feel this sharp pang of loss. One day, months later, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It was short. "I really am sorry. I'm getting help. I hope you're happy." It was from Clara. I didn't reply. Instead, I just sat there for a while staring at the message. Part of me wanted to scream, part of me wanted to cry, but mostly I just felt tired. Because despite everything, there was a time she'd been like a sister to me. And I think that's what hurt the most. Not the betrayal, not even the tension it caused with Ethan, but the fact that I'd never see her the same way again. A few months have passed now. Ethan and I are in a better place. We laugh again, we plan things again, and sometimes I almost forget how close everything came to falling apart. But then something small will remind me. A song, a restaurant, a memory, and I'll feel that sting in my chest again. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that love and friendship both have boundaries. And sometimes people who say they love you will still step over those lines just to see if they can. And when they do, you realize something painful but freeing. Not everyone deserves a place in your story, no matter how long they've been part of it. Now, when I look at the pictures from our anniversary dinner, I don't feel anger anymore. I just see a moment. One that marked the end of something and the beginning of something else. The end of blind trust. The beginning of awareness.